Hello, gorgeous bipeds. It is I, Christina, here at Fit and Bendy to talk about the relationship between natural flexibility in your lower back and tightness in your hips. There's a common correlation between these two things, and I want to unpack that with you and talk about some exercises that can help to counteract that to help your hips be more open. All right, so let's get started. The lower part of the spine is supposed to have a backwards arch to it. That's the way it's designed. But for some of us, that arch is exaggerated. And if we're not paying attention when we stand, we have a very exaggerated called lordotic curve or lower back curve or sway back in our lower backs. So what does that do to our hips? If you'll see, when I stand with my back super arched like this, it shortens the front of my hips. It compresses those muscles. This is me standing with less arch in my back and more openness in the hips. And this is me standing with more arch in my back. And you can see these muscles shorten. And that is going to put downward pressure on my hip flexors, these muscles through the front of the hip, making them not just tight, but also weak and just generally sad. So I'm going to show you something that you can do as a daily practice to counteract some of that tightness in the hips and also to help support the muscles in the front of the body that can take a little bit of that arch out of the back when you're just walking around. For this sequence, you're going to want some kind of prop. I'm using this wonderful squishy ball, but grab a pillow if that's what you've got handy. I do recommend these for you bendy back folks. I have a lot of videos using this prop and I love it. All right, we're going to lay down on our backs. And the idea with this sequence is to create as much rounding in the spine as possible. So I'm going to put my squishy ball on my belly, pull my knees in. I like to put my arms out to the side to make sure I'm not trying to use my shoulders or my neck to do this job. And then I'm going to do some little squishes in. So I'm using the muscles in my hips and my lower abs to try to bring my knees as tight into that squishy ball as possible, squeezing my thighs together to get a little bit of extra help from the pelvic floor and the inner thighs. And you can see there is some tension happening in my neck and face and chest, but I'm trying to minimize it as much as possible. And the idea here is to really develop the strength of the muscles that bring the spine in the opposite direction. And we're also really working those hip muscles. Like I said, they can get compressed, and that's going to make them tight and short. So now we're working on getting them a little bit stronger before we stretch them out. It's going to make them a lot happier and more able to respond to our stretching attempts, which we're going to do later. Let's go ahead and try to move that ball a little higher up. So that's going to bring our knees in even closer. We're going to do some more of these squishes. This is one of my daily exercises that I think is really essential for everyone who's got that bendy back and tight hips. It's made such a huge difference for me. Let's do 3 more, and 2, and 1. All right, bring your feet down, and now we're gonna pick up our butt and put the squishy ball or the pillow underneath your butt. And we're gonna bring both knees back into the chest again. And now it's going to be easier to feel that deep compression, right? Because now we've got a little bit of help from our friend squishy ball. So I'm squeezing my knees into my chest. I'm tucking my pelvis under as deeply as I can. And now I'm just going to hold this position. I like to extend my arms up into the air here because it gives me even more feeling of rounding out my spine. I feel like I'm trying to turn into a little turtle here on its back. And feel those abdominal muscles. See if you can stretch your spine. Actually feel a stretch in your lower back as that tailbone extends up in the air. Now I'm going to keep this knee in that position, pulling in towards my chest. You can give it a little bit of a help from your hands. And we're going to extend the other leg out. Once my heel hits the floor, I'm going to try to slide it along the floor using the muscles underneath my right butt to create that extension in the front of my right hip. And I'm trying to reach that foot out as far as I can without losing this tuck in the pelvis. So now I'm trying to go in the opposite direction of what my body likes to do. I'm trying to tuck my pelvis and round my spine and open up my hips. And you can hang out here for a little while. This is it should be like a pleasurable stretch position where you can start to feel that hip opening more and more the further away you can get your heel. It's very important not to lose the tuck in the pelvis. There's a temptation to get the heel further away by arching your back. Don't do it. Not going to get you what you want. You can also open this knee out to the side, which is going to slightly change the stretch in that right hip. All right. So let's go ahead and switch sides. By all means, if you want to just pause me and stay in that position for a longer piece of time, I would understand very well. All right, let's keep this right knee tucked in. We're pulling it into the chest, and now that left leg comes out. And as soon as my toe hits the floor, I'm using those muscles underneath my left butt to slide that leg away, reaching it out long, 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 getting that opening through the front of the hip. And again, I'm hanging out here. I'm trying to feel that deep compression. I'm trying to round my spine. So my abs are on. They are working to try to bring as much of my spine down to the floor as possible. So I'm really trying not to let it lift up, right? I'm trying to push it down. And again, breathe here. Feel that gradual lengthening of the left hip. We can open that right knee out to the side, which just gives you a little bit of a different experience of the stretch. It sort of changes what's going on in the pelvis a bit. And breathe, breathe, breathe. Let's bring that knee back in. And the compression of this hip is very important. The compression and the extension are both important parts of this. Let's pull that left knee back in. And I'm just going to end with both legs slowly lowering down. I'm trying to keep this tuck, tuck, tuck in the pelvis as I lower my legs. So not letting the back arch. And the ball comes away. And see if you feel a little bit looser through your hip sockets, and maybe that you have a little bit more movement in your spine as well. It's not stuck in that back bend, but you can feel how the muscles would work to support it in a forward bend so that when you stand up and walk around in your life, you can get a little bit more movement in your hips and spine for a little bit more of a healthy posture, which is going to be good for your flexibility and also for lower back and hip pain. All right, if you want to check out some more flexibility videos with lots of great hip stretches and back bends, please check out the links below, like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, happy bendings.